small businesses and entrepreneurial startup companies, those who want to start their own companies. He does this by conveying their brand through the art of graphic design. You know something? He is a husband. And he has one handsome boy. What I know and want you to know about him is that he loves God. He loves his family. And he loves art. I don't need to introduce him. Mr. Andrew Dixon III. Andy, this is your audience. Audience, this is our...
There are times in life where... Ooh, is that too loud? It's too loud. Hello? Sounds like the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not. There are moments in life where you just become overwhelmed. And I thank you so much for that. Because for a while, I'm like, who is she introducing? Way too nice. But I had a sister ask me this morning, she said, are you nervous? I said, nervous? That was 2 months ago when Sister Meredith asked me to present to you all. I said, I'm past nervous. I'm like this right now. but yeah, when I say we're going to be talking about graphic design, what do you feel inside? Is it a little nervous? Yeah, it's okay. Is it a little intimidating? Like overwhelming? It's okay. When I was a senior in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. All I knew was I needed to go to college and I needed to graduate high school. Because my mom said that's what I need to do. So I just need to do that and that should be okay. I can't tell you what we had for breakfast on Monday, but I can remember the name of a man who helped change my life. His name was Anthony Holmes, and he was a recruiter from the International Academy of Design and Technology. And when he came to our school, he, for reasons beyond me, pointed me out and said, what do you want to do with your life? And I told him, I said, I just want to go to college. He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I have no idea. What do you like to do? I said, I love to draw. He said, I want you to come down to the school. If I'm talking too fast, let me know. Just do this. I know what this is. My wife does it all the time. You're talking too much. I went to the school, and we're walking down the hallway, and I see billboards. I see posters. I see brochures, all kinds of things, magazine articles. And I asked him, I said, what is all of this? Well, this is what the students are making. This is graphic design. And right there, the light bulb came on, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. But what I found out when I sat in my first classroom, I knew nothing. I didn't know Microsoft. They were working in Adobe. I had no idea what Adobe was. I had never heard of it. But one of my best friends, William, I met there. He saw that I was nervous and that I didn't know what I was doing. And he began to show me what to do. See, when Sister Meredith asked me to present, I just started thinking of going back in my mind of all the things that I know, but I didn't know why I was here. I knew I was supposed to present, but I didn't know why I was here. When I came here, each and every one of you said something to me that brought it to my attention why I'm here. I am learning from you, and now I get the opportunity to give you something from me. It is nervous at first. It is a little intensive, but that's why we're going to go over the basics today. Because I firmly believe that as long as you understand the basics, you can take this information and build on it. You may say, by the time at the end, you might look at it and say, I don't want to do any of this. And that's fine. But take the information. Because there may be someone in your province that is interested and they need what you're getting today. Okay? So our presentation is on print, digital, visual, and graphic design, or graphic art. And we're going to start with the agenda. So today we're going to go over the history of graphic design, what is visual communication, why graphic design, understanding print design, the importance of image and visual communication in the digital age, the meaning of colors, shapes, and other graphic elements, design software for any level of expertise, incorporating your passion within your work, and at the very end of the presentation, there are online references for you to go to at your leisure. One of the things that I'm really excited about in this is this section here, design software for any level. Because what I'm going to show you today is if you don't have an Adobe subscription, I don't want you to go back home and say, I can't do this. I'm going to show you how to do it with Microsoft. So you may want to learn how to just make videos with the pictures that you take, but you say, Andrew, I don't have Adobe Premiere. That's fine. You have a software system in your computer that I'm going to show you how to make movies with, okay? Before we begin, I want you to take this in because next to you is a piece of paper. This is our first exercise. Okay? So on that piece of paper, there's two sides. So on the side that's right there, I want you to draw a banana. Banana. Draw a banana. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I told you were going to be drawing today. I told you. Okay. Is everyone almost finished? See, I picked something I figured wouldn't take too long. It's just a couple curves. Now I want you to show your neighbor your banana. Okay. All right, all right. Now we have another side of that paper. I want you to flip it over. Just flip the paper over. Now, quiet yourselves down. I want you to think of one thing that you either love or are passionate about. Love or passionate about, something that drives you. And I want you to take 2 minutes to draw that on the paper. I'm sorry. Whatever you love or your passion in life, I want you to take 2 minutes as best as you can to draw that on that piece of paper. Just a few more seconds. Okay. Does anybody want to share what they drew? Do I have at least one person that wants to showcase their art this morning? No? Okay, awesome, awesome.
I'm not an artist, but the concept I can show that is one aspirant tree with its root. This way. The reason why I chose this or passionate about it is this is something inspiring to me lifelong. Ever since I developed that reflective mood in me, because every dawn or every blade of the grass always comes to us and explains something new. It will have a little more growth in its, or else it would become something more by next morning.
Okay.
It's an invitation as to what life should be. It's not that the blade of the grass or the tree, it's not having its other side of the life, rough times or high times or low times of life. Everything is there. But then, that is made possible externally only because of its internal connectivity with the earth and its way of rootedness.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Actually, I don't want to show the picture because it's
so much. Now, the reason I said that, now quite a few of you said, I don't want to show you what I drew. And then some of you wouldn't even dare stand up because you're like, no, I don't want to show you what I drew. What I want you to know before we start is that there's no such thing as ugly or bad art. Art is expressive, so it comes from the inside of you. What you put on the paper comes from deep inside you. Like the reflection story that we had this week with the tiny frog. He was able to finish his task because he was deaf. He couldn't hear the naysayers. Sometimes it's not the people that we work with, it's not the people we serve that discourage us the most. It's oftentimes ourselves. You have to turn that off when you're designing, when you're doing something, when you're creating a newsletter, or you're making a video, or you're making a booklet for a ceremony. You just have to let that love, that passion, because if, like for instance, when I'm designing videos or something for a Jubilee celebration, I wasn't there for that person's whole 25 years. I wasn't there for their 50 years. But when they bring me the pictures and they sit down with me in my office and they tell me what each picture means, I begin to go to where they were. I had a chance to sit with Sister Mary Loren for her Golden Jubilee. And I've never been to Ghana. But by the time she left my office, I felt like I was already there because she could remember so vividly everything that was going on in the picture. I wasn't in the past with her. I was in the present. And so it's expressive. So when you come to the table and you're trying to figure out what you want to put on that blank canvas, there were people that probably thought Jackson Pollock's original paintings, they looked ugly maybe. But then people could see the beauty because he developed a style where you could see his passion as he splashed on that canvas. You could feel what he felt. Leonardo and Mona Lisa. You know, if you put those two side to side, most people will probably say this is the beautiful one. But once you get to understand the inside of the person, you can see the equal beauty in the one to the left. So we're going to go into the history of graphic design. Now, before we can talk about how design affects the modern world, it is important to understand the history of graphic design, period. Graphic design is the art and profession of selecting and arranging visual elements such as typography, images, symbols, colors. And it also is very closely linked to something that is called visual communication, a term that emphasizes its function of giving form to information. So if you want to give form to some information, typography, which is defined as the art and technique of arranging type to make written language legible, readable, and appealing when displayed. The arrangement of type involves selecting typefaces, point sizes, line lengths, spacing, tracking, and even kerning. This Coca-Cola advertisement is what we would consider a piece made from typography because there is no bottle, as you can see. The bottle is formed out of the text. And so we see a lot of this in advertisements and magazines, even online publications. People are able to create art just simply from words. Examples of visual communication also can be the design of a book, advertisement, logos, and also websites and other publications. When it comes to images, One of the things, actually right after this slide, I'm going to come out and show you something that I recently created in Photoshop. When it comes to images, it's important that whatever you're trying to convey visually, you're selecting the right image that goes with it. For example, if you were selecting, maybe you had to make a Facebook post for Pentecost. Which one would you use? A picture of flaming fire representing, Holy Spirit, or are you going to pick a birthday cake image? Right? You're going to use the flaming fire. You're trying to convey a message. You want whatever you're saying to be also representative with your image. Okay? And with symbols are, really, this in itself, these gears are forms of symbols. It's anything that you can use to basically relate to your piece. And colors are also important. We have a whole part of the slide presentation that deals specifically with colors and color theory and psychology of colors. What else? There's also some up there that should be there, but in my researching, I wanted to dig a little deeper. So there's also, for graphic design visual elements, there is something called shape, which is defined as two or more dimensional areas that stand out from the space next to or around it due to a defined or implied boundary. Also texture. Sometimes you can select an image that has visual elements of texture to also give the person a feeling, almost like they're there when they're looking at it. Have you ever had seen a commercial for Coca-Cola or something, and you probably were fine before you saw it, and then you see them pour it into the glass and it's splashing with the ice and the texture. Now you're like, oh, I need to go to the grocery store. These things are intentional. They do it. They have a psychological meaning to them. And also, there's an element called form. That can be described as any three-dimensional object. Form can be measured from top to bottom, side to side, from front to back. Form is also defined by light and dark. It can be defined by the presence of shadows on surfaces or faces of an object. So one of the things that I try to incorporate in whatever I'm working on, everything has to have a form to it. Everything has to have a purpose and a harmony. I didn't have that at first. A lot of my early designs were just all over the place, just and I like to say I started out as a little seed in design, and greater designers that I worked with, each of them just poured on that seed, and it just continues to grow as I go on in my career. And one of my teachers, my mentors, he sat me down and he said, I'm going to show you how to make form, make sense out of these designs. And my life has never been the same. So let me take you to a Photoshop piece that I did recently. Okay. My church back home, they're going to have a bonfire celebration. Well, it's not a celebration, but it's a get-together at our pastor's home. And they're going to have a bonfire in the back of his house, and he's inviting the youth over to engage them. He's going to have a speaker come from out of town who's specifically gifted in intergenerational communication, so teaching the verbal group how to relate to the iconic group and back and forth. And so my friend who's the youth director, he said, I know you're going to Rome. He said, I know you're busy, but can you make us a poster? I said, okay. So I didn't really give it any thought. I didn't think, it's not even up here. What happened? Do I need to switch something, sister? Do I need to? Yeah. I'm just talking. So I said, okay, a bonfire. I said, I need to find an image. So, and I'm going to show you some websites actually online where you can get free images, okay? Totally free. You don't have to worry about paying for them, and you get the license to them. And so I wanted to find something that had fire to do with it. So I found this image. I like the color because I can clearly see there are shades of blue in there with the fire, how it's coming out. There's just different hues of that orange and everything. And I already have sand here that gives me a little bit of texture, right? And so I needed a header, something that really drew people's attention. So I used shape. By the use of shapes, I'm not only able to draw your attention with the colors, right? I'm also utilizing typography because we have a different typeface here. We're using sign. As you can see, the spacing in between the letters are different. Gives it a different appeal, right? The important information is bolded. It's in October. It's on the 20th. And it's a bonfire gathering. That's what I want you to know. And even in that shape, it's all leading down to the fire also. It's giving you direction. I want to have you see. I don't want you to stay focused up there because there's going to be more information below. And so I need a call to action. He said there's going to be free food, there's going to be free fun, and there's going to be free fellowship. I said, okay. So I added what we call a call to action. Utilizing the same color scheme. What's the important information? It's not the food. Yes, exactly. It's not the food. It's not the fun. I mean, all these things are great, but what draws people is the free. It's like, yeah, they probably don't want to go to pastor's house on a weekend, but hey, there's going to be free food there. Yeah, I'll stop by. And I said, okay, you have a guest coming. Okay, well, we need to feature him. But, I mean, I don't need that to be the dominant part of the piece. I just need it to be available that there's going to be someone coming. Who's coming? Dr. Bobby Manning is coming. Now, by placing him in there, I've also created a fade. So it almost seems as if he's kneeling in that sand. And it's subtle. What's the important information? His name. Because when he comes, I want you to know who he is. You can also research this online by yourself. But what's he an expert in? Intergenerational relationships. So it's letting the youth know that when they get there, it's not going to be an individual coming that's going to be speaking at them. He's going to be speaking to you because he's skilled in doing that. But where's it going to be? It's going to be at our pastor's house, and we got the address at the bottom. Now, out of that whole piece, because as Sister Meredith knows, I am a bit of a perfectionist. When she asked me, did I get some sleep last night, I said, yeah, finally. What did I miss? Then when I look at it, I've given it to them. They love it. They don't have any problems with it. Well, what's the one thing I missed? What church? What's the name of the church? Waukegan Community Church. I designed it with the intention that, okay, it's youth. It's the youth at our church, so they already know. But what I didn't consider is what if he wanted to take a couple of these printouts and take them to a local churches? What if he wanted to invite them? They need to know who sent it because they don't know my pastor. They've never been to his home. And so these things are important. And so next time when I'm designing, I know what to do in the future. Sometimes these things happen even in SSPS. Sometimes we'll make something, and it's always that one thing you didn't think of, and you're like, but it's okay. It's okay. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Where did art begin? The beginning of time. I picked this specifically because I thought this was the funniest cave painting I have ever seen. Because I said, this is just the story of my life. Just trying to figure out what's going on. But graphic design is so much a part of our modern world that it's hard to imagine living without it. And in some ways, we never have. Visual communication is about as old as time itself. Though it's been a long journey from stone tools to iPads, in short, the history of graphic design is a story that has been told since the entirety of human existence. And it has the power to inspire and inform even modern graphic designers. I took a walk outside this week. And as I was coming back into the gate, I felt someone walking behind me very closely. And I turned around, it was Father Sonny. But I didn't know him. We had never met. And so I held my hand out, like, hey, where are you going? He starts to speak to me in Spanish. I said, I don't speak Spanish. I don't understand. And he says, he goes to the intercom system, push the button. We're communicating, but visually because we don't understand each other. After a while of waiting, I said, well, come. I'll just walk you up. We'll figure this all out. Halfway up the walkway, comes to my mind, SVD? He says, yes, hi, I'm Father Sonny. Why didn't you talk to me in English when I was speaking to you in English? This whole time, we're visually communicating because we believe we can't speak to one another. And the whole time, you understand me, but you're not speaking in the language. And so I just thought that was funny because, well, what I found through certain documentaries is that in early cave paintings, they didn't have a language back then. And so how they communicated was visually. And so if they came across a situation where there was danger, they tried to draw it on the wall so that when you came, they're trying to warn you, don't go here, bears. Don't go here, danger. And so that to me was incredible because you can see even from the beginning we were trying to communicate with each other even though we didn't have an official language. These earliest languages were logographic, icons, represented entire words instead of phonetic sounds. This suggests a natural ability of humans to use visual representation to communicate complex ideas, a cornerstone of modern graphic design. And in the last few millennia, not much has changed. Designers still rely on icons like hamburger menus or magnifying glasses to represent entire words and concepts. And in this piece, it said that the Sumerians were one of the first to create a written language in 3300 to 300 BCE. This is a photo of a Sumerian tablet which bears bad news. It was given to the king of Lagash to inform him that his son died in battle. And so this was how they communicated. It says, most likely the Sumerians created this written language as a means of recording trader inventories to ensure couriers didn't steal anything on delivery. And later we see advancements in Chinese printing, 200 CE to 1040 CE. China historically led many innovations in regards to printing, including non-papyrus paper making, woodblock printing, as shown to the right, and movable type. There's been multiple advances. I found it very interesting that we always talk about the Gutenberg press, but actually they got that idea from the Chinese. The Chinese have been making so many advancements in printing over the years, and eventually led to the press. It says in the 700s, medieval calligraphy, the European heraldry in the 1100s, storefront signage, which actually began in 1389, and beyond. We can see mankind's desire to share and record information and how enhancements were made to better simplify the process while producing quantity. And then came the Industrial Revolution. Much like the digital revolution that we see right now, where everything's kind of leaving paper and going towards digital, in this time, they were able to create more books, more articles and things at a much faster rate than they were before. In the late 19th century, graphic design emerged as a distinct profession in the West, in part because of the job specialization process that occurred there, and in part because of the new technologies and commercial possibilities brought out by the Industrial Revolution. New production methods led to the separation of the design of a communication medium, for example, posters, from its actual production. In my research, I had never known this man, but I'm so grateful for the life he led, because it says in 1922, typographer William A. Dwiggins coined the term graphic design to identify the emerging field. Mr. Dwiggins was also responsible for such typefaces as Caravan, Metro, Electra, Caledonia, and El Dorado, and Falcon. So what that means is some of the typefaces, like when you're on Microsoft Word and you're typing and you get to pick what font you want to use, he's responsible for a few of those typefaces. So I'm always fascinated by people who have done things so many years ago, but we're still using it today. And so, as you can see, he was also a typographer. He designed many books. And I just found this online because it's another clear example of how to utilize typography in a design piece. They're trying to tell you about a musical, a concert that's going on. And so half of the design is the actual instrument, while the other half, they're only utilizing type. They're utilizing the colors properly, and it has a flow, it has a harmony to it as it goes up. What is visual communication? Well, I think my interpretation from earlier gives a clear answer to that, but I'm going to dig a little deeper. Visual communication is the transmission of information and ideas using symbols and imagery. It's one of the three main types of communication, along with verbal communication and nonverbal communication. In this piece, in this photo, the reason I selected it was because it's a clear example of visual communication. When I came to Rome, the difference in airports were night and day. When I was in Chicago, I could read everything. I knew where TSA was. I knew where the food court was. I knew exactly where I needed to go. As soon as I got to Rome, welcome to Rome. That's all I saw. Everything else was in Italian, and I said, okay, I don't know where to go. I had to utilize not just tapping people's shoulders, but I had to read the posters. Because although I didn't speak the language, the posters had directionals. So I knew where I was supposed to go next. And so it's important to utilize visual communication, because this right here is telling her if she wants coffee, if she wants tea, culture, boutiques, or hotels, you go that way. From the beginning, mankind has used the tools we have at the time period we are born in to communicate visually. I'm very intrigued because I'm interested in knowing the generation after me, how they're going to utilize visual communication. Because it's like everything being so digital now, it's like, okay, well, what's next? Like, how else are we going to do this? It says, from cave paintings to hieroglyphics to the printing press and beyond, we continue to make advancements in the way we communicate. So in these times, we have to draw on caves. Now that we have an actual language, and we have multiple languages, we are communicating in a different way. So, example of a stop sign. When you see it, it alerts you, you need to do something, you need to stop. Do you know that when you go outside, you are marketing yourself without even knowing it? When you step outside and you have your dress on and you have the habit on, what does that visually communicate to someone outside of these walls? That you are a woman religious. So in your day, you're probably not thinking about that when you get dressed in the morning. You're probably like me. You're just trying to hurry up and throw something on because you're trying to run down for breakfast. But when you step outside, you're visually communicating to someone without even saying anything. Visual communication in social media. Sometimes when you're posting things, what you post visually communicates to the person reading it what your passion is. So if you're sending out a post with a scripture reading, it lets that person know that, one, you love God, and it tells them that you are a Catholic because they clearly see this is from the Holy Bible, right? And so you're visually communicating to them who you are and what your passion is, like what's on the inside of you. It's something I've said for a long time, where whenever someone has a little too much wine and they start saying things, they always come to you the next morning and they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I had too much last night. And I said, don't apologize. That's what you meant. If that's what you meant, then that's what you meant. It's okay. It didn't offend me. It's just you are speaking. And so when people are typing on Facebook and they say, oh, I deleted that tweet, it's already out here. We saw it already. It's a visual communication of who you are. Now it's up to you to change that if you so desire. Visual communication and spirituality. This is actually a photo from the U.S. province. Before I got there, they took a group photo holding the globe. And I thought it's something that I use quite often in our publications and things, because I feel like it from the history that I was given, I feel like it connects so well with that, because it's hands, it's people from different places, different walks of life, sharing the same mission to bring the gospel to the whole world. And I think it's such a powerful picture, because you can see just the different regions and continents and things, and they're all just lightly touching it, putting their own fingerprint on the world. And so we communicate our spirituality in many ways visually. Visual communication in public. Sometimes, without even noticing it, like we said, from the way we dress, how we conduct ourselves, we always market who we are. So when we're out in public, even if we're not really paying much attention to what we're saying or what we're wearing or what we're doing, we're still communicating to the outside world who we are. So it's important, I think, that especially when I'm on the grounds of the convent back home, when we have visitors, I'm trying to be cognizant that when they come, before they meet you, if they see me, I need to be a representation of you. I need to be a representation of St. Arnold and his message. I need to be a good visual communication of the foundresses. Because if that person comes and they just ask me for directions, they still need to be able to see SSPS. Because I don't have a habit And I don't wear a dress, thankfully. And so they need to be able to see you in whatever I'm doing, and vice versa. So it's all about visually communicating your message wherever you're going. Why graphic design? Why do we need graphic design for what we're doing? Any guesses? Everybody's quiet. Why so quiet? Well, graphic design in itself, it helps you visually communicate a certain point. So, yes, can you send out a scripture reading to someone? Yes. It communicates well. God's word communicates itself. But what if you were to add something that really brought that meaning out? If you take this picture off and we just have the white in the text and everything, yes, I can sit here and I can tell you about effective communication and things, but when I add something to it, what did it do? As soon as you saw it, it was oh. And so graphic design is not just a way to communicate a message. It's one of the most effective ways to communicate, period. Web design, logo design, typography, videography, photography, illustration, and animation have gone from innovation to the driving force of most businesses in the modern world. One of the key points I want us to walk away with today is that you don't have to be an expert in design to actually design something. Learning graphic design takes time. It does take a bit of education. However, if you are willing to learn by stepping into the unknown, you will be amazed at what you're able to accomplish. Prime example. Let me come out of here for a second, okay? Now, Sister Monica Mabel, and if she's up watching this, she's going to hate that I even mentioned her name, because she's so sweet, but she's very private like that. She doesn't like to be mentioned. But she will come in and she'll say, Andrew, I need something. I'm like, okay, what do you need? I need you to make a video, because we sent a whole shipping container full of donated items to the Ola school in Jamaica. So she said, we're going to be taking pictures of everything. I need you to make a video so everybody can see and we can share it. I said, okay. Now, Sister Nadia used to do the videos. I didn't have to do the video. I did not know how to make videos. And so I'm sitting there, I say, okay, well, I don't know how to use Adobe Premiere. She says, okay, in the interest of time, I will sit down and show you how to use another software system. And so I'm going to show you Microsoft Photo. Okay? So you can take notes, and you can also follow along if you have it in your computer, which I believe you have if it's a Windows-based computer. If you don't know where it is, that's fine, because I didn't know it was there. What you're going to do is you're going to go down to this search section of your laptop and just type the word photo. And you'll see this application right here, if you have it. Now, Microsoft Photo, what it does is you're able to import pictures from your computer, and once you select your pictures, it gathers all of that information, and it puts them all together in a slideshow format. And so let's say if I'm exporting from a folder, I will go to, I have all my pictures here in the presentation folder. I will go seminar images, and I'll just add this folder. Now, it's already gathered all of these photos, right? And so I say, create. What do I want to create? A custom video with music. It's going to ask me to select, so I'm just going to select maybe 4 pictures and click create. Now, Microsoft is creating my video for me. I want to name it sample. And it's telling me I don't need to save because the video is going to be automatically saved as I go onto my PC. So, thank you. And so what it does is it collects those photos. And these numbers you see here, these are the seconds. If, you know, because it's like what I don't like is I don't want it to be 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to be able to see the image. And so what I would do is I will right-click. As a matter of fact, no, I don't have to right-click. I just select it and go to duration, and I just set it for 5 seconds. That's enough time for each picture. Okay. If I want to add text to it, I can, per image. So if this is the title image and I want to add text, it asks me what kind of style that I would like to set the text. So because it's something nice and soft, I'll click this one. And in this box, right up here, I'll just say footprints, if I know how to spell. And I say done. Now, there are multiple things that you can do within this. You can set motion to your slide. So right now it doesn't have any motion, but if I wanted to have it, I'll select zoom out for that one. If I wanted this one to have a different motion, I'll say maybe zoom out right. For this one, pan left. And I'll just leave this one alone. There's also 3D effects that you can add to it. And so you can, in this particular image, if I select atomic motion, you see this section here? There's a light. You see the light there? Might be a little too tall. I can stretch that out. Yeah. And I'll just say done, right? Now, sometimes when you're adding things like 3D effects to it, it takes a little time to save, but that's okay. And so, if I say I'm finished with it, I'm done, and I like how it looks, I can say export or share. And I will select, like if I was sending this over YouTube, I would select large, L for longest upload, best for screens. And I just wait for it to create. God bless you. And if I want to view it, see your motion zooming out. The cross image moves. And all of it. Everything that you've told it to do, it's doing. Okay? A better example is here. Oh yeah, it does have music. 1 second. Now, what time are we breaking? Just so I know. 10:30. Okay. Okay. It's good. Yeah, it should be on. Yeah, no, I don't. Well, as you can see in the video, this is what we created. So this is actually the U.S. province, and the container came. This was all of the items that we had that was donated. It filled up the entire garage of the JPIC office. I mean, it was just wall to wall. I mean, chairs, desks, mattresses. Sister Mary Miller was there. Yeah, I mean, it was an awesome sight, and just showing you the different things. Now, as we go a little further in it, we start to see them loading it up. There's Sister Dorota there. There's Sister Monica. Haha. She ended up being part of my presentation. Yeah. Father came down and blessed the things that were being donated. And that's Sister Rosalia. She works in communications with me also. And so basically, if you, Mark Kelly, if you do not have Adobe software on your computer, you can still utilize Microsoft Photo to make videos, to display certain things that you have. Okay? Is this the reason? Let's see. Oh. Let's see if we got the sound now. Okay. Well, we'll get it. We'll get it on the break. And so probably after the break, I have a couple other videos. So I want to show you how to make movies out of PowerPoint slides. And you can also add music to that as well. And if you do have Adobe Premiere, there's also a video and a way for me to show you how to make it in that as well. But as we go back to the presentation, My apologies. Oh, okay, I see it. Sorry, I couldn't find it. Thank you. Thank you. And so, brand awareness. Brand awareness was something we spoke about at the very beginning. And so it's important to visually communicate your brand. And so when I approach projects within our office, my mindset is the brand is the history of SSPS. I try to make sure everything that we put out is incorporated with the brand, like the foundation of what SSPS is. And so I constantly go back to this image. It says, in the modern world, it is often not enough to simply tell people your message. You must become your message. This means being able to effectively communicate who you are and where you are going before anyone decides to come alongside you on the journey. And so I think something that we've been talking about a lot this week is when we're communicating digitally or in whatever medium, print, video, we want people to know who we are, what we are, where we are located, both like locally and digitally. So we always want to lead them to the website, right? And we want to also communicate how they can come along the journey with us. One of the concerns or desires when I began at SSPS was our province wants to attract younger sisters. That's really one of the focuses that they really try to drive home. So whenever we design things now, we try to use the images of the young sisters we have in the province. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest piece, but it's, if you notice, because I will show you one of our more recent vocation promotions. It was a brochure. On the inside of it, you'll notice that one of the larger pictures in the piece is of Sister Nadia praise dancing in the sanctuary, because we want the younger demographic to see, oh wow, you know, this is for me also, you know. When we start to talk about, I just want to go back just a smidge on the brand awareness, because something just came to mind. When I came here, I had a certain way of what I knew nuns to be, because I went to grammar school and I went to high school, all Catholic high school and grammar school. So the sisters that I knew, they were very focused, they were very determined. It was always, you got to get here, go to class, quit talking, quit playing. You know, always make sure you got your tie on. We learned how to tie a tie in 5 seconds, thanks to the sisters. Because whenever they would see us, and everybody's just straight walking. And when I came here, Sister Aprilia in the U.S., I do a lot of vocation promotion things with her. She came in, polo shirt, SSPS, jeans on, nothing. Hey, where's my stuff? And I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, who are you? And she's like, we had a communication. And I said, it just blew my mind. And then I sat and I talked to Sister Rosalia. And then I would sit and talk to other sisters. And I noticed something. They all communicated the brand, but in their own personal way. Sister Aprilia, she told me, she said, I love my sisters, but I just don't wear the habit. She said, I don't want to. She said, I just don't want to wear it. She's like, that's just not, I don't feel comfortable. She's like, this is what I feel comfortable wearing. And so I said, okay. But everything that she does, it's intentional to bring people to the awareness of SSPS. So she may not dress like everyone else, but she carries that brand everywhere. one of the sisters, Sister Nadia actually, she said, because I wondered why she always wore hers, and she said, because I earned it. It's a sense of, I earned this. This is something that's close to me. It's her passion. It's inside of her. And she wants what's inside of her to come out of her, like we said. And so she communicates SSPS in a different way, in her own way. So you just have to really look at, from a brand perspective, from an internal perspective, how you are going to represent this digitally. How can SSPS utilize graphic design? In web design, actually the first project that I got when I was hired was redesigning our U.S. province's website. And when I go back home, we're actually going to be rolling it out. It's finished. It's been labored upon. It's been reviewed. It's been reviewed. It's been reviewed. And it's finally ready to go. But again, since I took the information from the different sisters and I wanted to, make sure that everything was incorporated. So when you go to the site, the history is there. Everything is there. The resources that they've made, the publications, all the books written by the sisters, even poems, they're all in there. It has a short biography before you read it to see if you really want to read it or not, right? What else? There's actual pictures of the younger sisters, and there's also pictures of our sisters who are in their hundreds now. I think it just has a little bit of everything to get you a more well-rounded idea. Because when Sister Monica asked me, she said, what did I plan on getting by coming here? I said I wanted to know what SSPS was internationally. I wanted to come home with a more well-rounded view so that when I'm designing, I can understand what my sisters over in this part of the world are doing and what their concerns are. What these sisters over here are doing. I need to know that, We also incorporate graphic design in our logos. Sister Monica wanted to make sure that my presentation had the logo. Because she looked at it, she said, I had something else there. And she was like, what's that? I don't like that. Take that out. Logo. I said, yes, ma'am. In our vocation promotions, we have brochures. We had, business cards. We took that concept and made rosary cards so that when Sister Aprilia hands out the rosary, there's a card to it to help you recite the rosary and the different things that went into that. And so we did that. We made some pins. We designed some tablecloths, everything. Social media. We can utilize. I will show you how to make a Facebook post no matter what software you have. So did you know that if you don't have Adobe, you can still make a design from Publisher, Microsoft Publisher? Oh, you did? Well, you just took. You're so tech savvy. How am I supposed to show you something? Bulletins, magazine designs, and newsletters. We utilize all of those as well. And we have ad book articles because we partner with Misericordia. It's an organization where they actually teach people with special needs art. And some of the pieces that they have on display are just amazing. So, but these are just a short, few ways that we can incorporate it. Trying to keep the time. Understanding print design. When I heard Father Sonny yesterday and he started going into it, I said, well, I maybe have to delete that from my presentation because he went really in depth. But if there's anything that I can give to you in regards to it is print design is a graphic design process. Its end product is a design in a digital form, which then gets printed onto a material such as paper, cardboard, plastic, metal, and ceramic. So in this particular image, you can see that a particular design group, they needed to make a bunch of different print design collaterals. So they have, posters, they have brochures, cards, pins for your shirt. Just, anything that you can basically print onto. There's a design process that goes into it. It does not include the process of printing, but is designed for print, Business cards, banner design, book covers, brochures, flyers, posters, all deal with print design. If I can give you a quick example. So our bulletin, our provincial bulletin. And what did you press?
Windows.
Okay. So this is our bulletin right now. Basically, what we do is Sister Monica she actually designs the front cover always. So I always leave that blank for her. That's the last piece that goes into it. But we have different things like our province news. In this particular month, Sister Sienna Russell had passed away. Remember Father Sonny said we always can't put all of the information that's given. When they gave us the eulogy, because she had lived for so long and spent 79 years in religious life, in ministry. Her obituary was like 6 pages long. So imagine the hard task of bringing that large of a publication down to just this. And do you know how bad I felt? Because they're like, well, we need to make it shorter. And I'm like, 79 years in ministry. This looks so disrespectful. They're like, everybody's read it already. They just need the main information. And so I said, okay. But again, in our design piece, I created this, and it was more of a sunset. I took her image. I wanted to make her the focus of the piece. And so the information within the image correlates the text that's inside the image. It all fits. It's all got a harmony to it. And we have articles. And when you talk about, the newsletter, I get it. It is hard getting articles, but when we do, it really does make things great. These are our sisters that are, well, I know for certain, 1, 2, 3, 4, they just recently celebrated their final vows. We actually have the video from that also. But this was a piece that Sister Nadia made, and basically it's just explaining the different mission mandates where they're going. And I think it communicates well because it's not enough to just say, well, they're going here, they're going there. The maps also help to tell the story as well. And, just articles, more articles. And at the end, we usually just save that for save the date information, prayers, different things that may be going on in the province. Whenever someone comes to visit, we have a welcome in the newsletter for them. We have pictures from when they came. And at the very end, we also have the JPIC corner. And so one of the things that you can notice is that the fonts chosen for the provincial newsletter are different from the JPIC. It's very subtle, but it's a way to visually communicate, this is the newsletter, now here's the JPIC corner for information on JPIC. And that's our newsletter. So when we return from our break, we'll be going into the importance of image and visual communication in the digital age. I will give you some tips on making, some creative Facebook posts, and then we'll go into color theory and color psychology. But thank you for being patient with me so far, and I will see you when you come back.
Hello. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Before we go to, antes de